Hey guys, what's happening? My name's Trevor Caldwell here at H&E Studios, and we are sitting here with a People Party Productions, Jen Harmel.
Hey.
How are you doing tonight, Jen?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
It's nice to have you here.
Yeah, this is amazing. H&E Studios, right?
Yeah, H&E Studios.
This is so rad.
I know. It's wonderful. It's nice to have a spot to be able to just sit back and talk to people about business and about upcoming promotions and whatever. Really, it's just nice to be able to be here with.
It's been a minute for me to do any kind of content anyway. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. So we've known each other for a few years, but I don't think that I know the ins and out of your business the way that I would like to. So I wanted to sit down with you and just kind of get you talking and see what see how things got started and where you're headed. So
yeah. Well, I have my phone here with my website too, just in case.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good deal.
It's kind of a lot.
So tell us a little bit about your business.
Yeah, so it's a People Party Productions, and we started about 2013. So I don't even know how many years that was. Over 10 years ago. And it started out as a vendor market, just a fun side gig to have like vendors selling their goods. It actually started at the Cloisters, which is the courtyard where Mesme's coffee shop is on South 7th.
And that's where you're at now, right?
And that's where I actually now have a brick and mortar. So it's like a full circle story.
Yeah, that's cool.
That first market, I remember having to email the owners to explain to them the concept of what that was and how that would not be intrusive to the business owners in the Cloisters. And that's how we got started. The why, though, was because I remember after being out of college, there wasn't really a lot of places to play live music. So live music is really the heart of where a People Party event started, was creating a platform to bring people together to have an audience to play live music.
And were y'all playing music at these like vendor events?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So it was super funny because like I used to playing live music around town since high school. So I've been in Abilene for a while, and so there was coffee shops and things. But then whenever I got out of the music scene for a little while, and new employees, come work at coffee shops, and they're like, we don't know you, we need a demo. And I'm like, I don't know, I just bring my guitar and I'll show you. It's not bad. But so I booked myself. I went through the little process, even though I'd played many times before, and booked myself, but I knew I wasn't going to really draw a crowd or have much of a set list, honestly. So then I invited some of my friends and said, hey, you don't have to audition for Mezzanines or whatever. Oh, I can say the coffee shop name, right? That was many years ago. So it was completely under a different ownership too. And I was like, y'all just join me on my set, and then we'll just like have a good time. And so I didn't realize at that time I was actually doing cross marketing and promotions simply by inviting multiple people to come that knew their people, and we all came together and had a good time, and it was all about the live music at the time.
Okay.
Actually.
And it just kind of evolved from there as far as...
Well, yes, but we had an intention to add vendors the next time we gathered friends. So the funny thing is, at that time I was married. I had my baby girl already. She was like 2 or 3, and I was teaching full time at the time. Even though my degree is in graphic design, I was teaching special ed. So that's part of people's journey you don't always hear about. Like all the details of what we were doing when we were doing the thing, maybe that people know about. So yeah, when a People Party got started, I was a special ed teacher, and my husband and I met at a craft fair, at ACU actually.
Oh, wow.
So it was like a student event, and I loved it. And once I graduated college, again, there was no places to play live music. There was no, vendor markets and stuff, nothing like that in Abilene. In fact, the only kind of things like that in Abilene were like big, major like trade shows.
Okay.
Like at the Civic Center.
Yeah.
You know, like blue curtains, and there was nothing like you see now, like with vendors, curating their booths and stuff like that. Anyway, so we were like, man, that'd be super cool to add vendors to the live music and just create a whole vibe. And so my husband actually coined the name. He was like, let's call it a People Party. And I was like, production. So that's kind of how a People Party got started. And then we continued having them every pretty much spring and fall for holidays, pretty consistently over that course of the decade. The decade. I probably skipped like one season when I like maybe it was like due to having a baby or something like that. But I also
understandable.
Yeah. But also I wore my babies a lot too and also performed. But as it grew, I wasn't able to perform as often, as much as it's funny because like the challenge of the journey has been trying to put something together so I can do what I love and then having to fall back into the more administrative, like,
the bigger it's gotten, the kind of you've lost yourself in that.
Exactly. That's a really good way to say that, actually. So yeah, but like, I just started with like texting friends and it was like $20 at booth. And then I realized how much work it like required and how many times I was answering the same question to all my friends. And I was like, I gotta do something different. So I created a website, created FAQs and from there, over the course of time, I think before COVID, we were at like 50 vendors downtown. People were paying to just apply. So there was an application fee, which was really great because it was paying for my time. Had interns at that point, and we were also doing markets in Austin, Texas. So I was like really branching out. And through that time, social media was, definitely a huge part of how we grew and wasn't even a thing for businesses when we started. So like social media itself. So.
Yeah. And now it is what it is.
Now it is what it is. And there's like degrees for it and stuff. So
going back to the initial start for People Party Productions. So it's funny to me that I met you through Zen, actually.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah.
Zen and Jen.
She was manning a booth and she like put your stuff in there.
Yeah, so we came and did that for a glass event whenever I was transitioning out of my day job at the time.
That's right.
And
you were at
shout
Dillard's.
out to Zen.
You were at Dillard's. Right?
I was going to Dillard's. I was at Target, and
my
the day of the event, I got my job at Dillard's. I went back.
That's exactly.
I got offered the men's store there. So, long story short, though, it's funny to see that. So, what I knew of makers and creators, I didn't know about People Party Productions beforehand. So, it's funny to see as you tell that story that you started with music and decided to bring on vendors, and then it took like a full turn on its head. And then now it seems like what my viewpoint is that you had brick and mortar for vendors that just so happened to have a space for musicians.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's completely upside down.
And it's interesting because, like the live music had to take a backseat, but that live music in and of itself is a beast to figure out for a city like Abilene, and I'm sure you know. Like,
absolutely.
If you're, it just ebbs and flows too. Like sometimes there's an active, scene where there's a lot of bands, and you can put on like a whole jam fest. Which actually, when I was a student at ACU, I was putting on music events for ACU, and it was like a lineup. And my class in particular just happened to have a ton of talented students that all had bands. So there was tons of bands to create something like that.
Yeah.
But then there's times in Abilene when they all leave and there's like no bands and it's just like hardcore screamo or
oh yeah.
Which
and I feel like I've only been here for, I think I'm going on like 5 years. I lost count at this point. But things have changed even tremendously since I've been here as far as what the music scene has offered. And I've seen a lot of places like pick up and start doing like open mics and things like that.
Right. I just did one last night actually at the Majestic, and I was going to tell you about it. So
yeah, you should have. Yeah, I know that whenever Sam had the Hollows, they had started doing open mics, and we were going for a little while, and then he got out of there, and now that's Levels. The Hollows is now Levels. I think it's still owned by them, but subleased. All that to say, he transitioned and went to the Majestic, and I knew that he had started doing open mics, and they were doing like the Hollows had like one of the coolest karaoke events, and had like it was packed out for their karaoke events they were doing. But I knew that they had transitioned, and at that time I kind of backed away from music. But all that to say, I know that you guys have started even recently doing stuff for the patio.
Yeah. So I guess to kind of pull it full circle. So a People Party started out, we birthed out of vendor markets, but it was all from a place of wanting to play live music. And then we grew those vendor markets, and And then COVID hit, and kind of put a halt to things. And we were able to successfully, when I say we, it's a people party, it's me. It's just my brand. And then people that come along the way
We,
and
the
help.
collective,
Yeah,
us,
we,
I and
we,
me.
me.
Yeah.
And of course, my husband helps with all the production, which has a lot to do with like manning our children and helping with setup and all that stuff. So anyway, I just want to give credit to where credit's due, because we is whoever's helping me in that season. But we, as in the brand, it's just a people party. It's just me. But what was I saying? Oh my goodness.
The patio.
So
guys.
COVID hit, and then we started doing virtual events, and that was working just to keep things going. And we did. I mean, there was so many unknowns for, I think, every small business. It was super cool because through our virtual events, we ended up getting vendors, like customers from like New York City. I don't even know how that happened.
Yeah, that's
just a
cool.
Side note. That was pretty neat. Wouldn't have happened if that.
That's social media is.
It's wild.
Yeah.
But anyway, so during COVID, I had an opportunity to acquire a studio space, actually, which is really neat. And it was always something I wanted to do because content started becoming a need for my business. Creating content, whether it was for clients, that started happening as a part of a people party production, just creative marketing services, which included social media management, and product photography. Because I realized, like, oh wow, if I'm curating a vendor market and I'm working with these micro businesses and they don't have any content to promote the event, it was just kind of like, it kind of overlapped.
Yeah. Because the more successful they are, the more successful you are. In a sense, if they can't pay their rent.
Yeah.
And they don't have a way to be able to advertise the product that is living in your store.
Oh, right. Well, but prior to having a store, if I'm needing to like get photos of their product to promote a craft fair market, and they don't have it, it was kind of like I was just having to create it for them. But all of that to say, I realized there was a need for micro businesses to get content, but that's a lot of work. And so a lot of times micro businesses have to do it themselves, or it was something that was needed, but it's hard to do that whenever you're trying to do it from home, you have kids. That also became a passion of mine during my journey of vendor markets, was being a work from home mom and like not having a space that was like very inspirational, because I was just distracted by a messy house. At the time I was working virtually, then dropping off my kids from Mother's Day out or daycare or whatever. And then in passing, I would like run into other creative mom business owners, and we didn't have any community with each other. We were just like in passing, and I'm kind of all over the place with what I'm saying because I was going to go a different direction, but now I'm going this direction. But I started to recognize through the markets that we didn't even really get to have a chance to connect at the markets because we were too busy manning our booths.
Yeah.
And so I think that's when I realized I wanted to create a whole new different event, which is still to this day one of my favorite events, which is the APP Mixers. And that was when I actually interviewed small businesses and went behind the scenes about how they got to where they are and like the journey and the inspiration and all the stuff that we're talking about now, which was really rad because it gave my platform gave small businesses an opportunity to hear from each other and actually worked against the preconceived ideas that other people had it figured out. So that's what I really learned a lot, is that at People Party, we were really, we had the opportunity to like kind of know a ton of different businesses and kind of the struggles or the things that individuals were going. I mean, we're all micro businesses, we're all just people. And we were also, it kind of put me in the middle of like, well, I know that these people have ideas about this person, and I just kind of wanted to like help clear the air and so you guys actually have a lot more in common. So we did these mixers, and those were awesome too. I think we did a virtual one during COVID.
And where were y'all doing those at?
Yes, okay, that brings up a good point. So the whole time at People Party is like looking for businesses to partner with for hosting these market events. Like I said, our first one was at Mezzanines, full circle story, the courtyard there. And then we just kind of had to look around to see, like, I loved doing it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this would be a great place for a market. So I loved scouting out places. And then the mixers, our very first mixer was where Sway is
Okay.
right now, which was super cool. We actually have talked to them about doing another one.
Okay.
But now that I have a brick and mortar, so I have a lot of my events there. Now we'll go, come back to this topic, but on the while I mentioned that I have my own brick and mortar, the challenge now though is that I'm in a season where I'm also working a full-time job. So it's been
as a teacher,
as
right?
a teacher for high school students, which is wild, which is where I was earlier today. So it's hard to kind of like reframe my brain to the things that I've been doing, like or I haven't been doing in a while with my business. But so
that's got to take a lot out of you too. I mean,
absolutely.
just from what you're talking about with People Party Productions and now having a brick and mortar for some time, trying to host events, not just trying, but hosting events, coordinating them with yourself and for other business owners. I mean, you don't have just your business or your name riding on it either. You've brought along a lot of people that depend on you and that you help support.
Too, as well.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a lot, and then to be able to separate that from your full-time job. I mean, you have a career and a career, so which I think a lot of people can
relate to, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think that people who, unfortunately, being creative doesn't pay the bills all the time.
Right.
More times than not, you have to get lucky with that.
Yeah.
So, and it seems like you've had some instances of that. You've definitely had, from what I'm hearing, times where things were more successful than others.
Absolutely. It's definitely evolved, and so acquiring a brick and mortar, like I'm so all over the place, but during COVID, we acquired a studio in a different location, and that was pretty rad. What I was talking about with that is it provided a space for creatives to just come and get content. So the moms that I was running into were, the photographers that maybe didn't want to sign on a full lease for a photography studio, or, I invested in the space and props and things like that to just have a place to get creative. I mean, it was amazing how many people would walk in and be like, just feels inspiring to be in this place.
Yeah.
And I was there for a little while, did some marketing trade there. And then my husband saw the space that I'm in now at the Cloisters. And the timing just worked out really well, where I had vendors ready to sign on sublets to have their booths. And that's what allowed me to get into this brick and mortar, which we called Makers and Creators Marketplace. But yeah, so it went from a studio to a brick and mortar that also had a studio, which was like the ultimate dream, like having a marketplace with a studio and a venue, because everything I've been doing this whole time has been like a hustle to find a location, find businesses that understand the value of what we're bringing to their storefront or whatever. And I was like, man, it would be really nice if I had my own space to bring that foot traffic to our headquarters.
Yeah. And it's funny because I may be jumping the gun here, but it's funny to see that, the vendor aspect of it seems to be like it was a means to an end, because you have to have something, not just a service to provide, but product. I mean, I think being a creative as well, I understand that if you want to continue doing it, it costs money. It costs money to do things or to be able to allot that time. And so it seems like, of course you want some other people's creative outlets may allow for them to have a product to sell. Unlike musicians, I mean, what are you going to get paid off streams? Unless you're actually marketing your physical music, your tapes, t-shirts and merchandise, it really you have to have something that is, that it's sellable.
It's monetizing.
Yeah, it's 100%. Monetizing in order to do it. So
that was a huge challenge, I think, for a People Party, because I did monetize the markets. You had a booth, you had and then the crazy thing is then we had to do cover fees, and that was actually ruffled some feathers, but it was actually bringing in quality shoppers, and we actually increased in our foot traffic through that, and it made it worthwhile for me. It just got to a point where the more I put in, it was like we were having growing pains. And if I didn't eventually charge a cover fee, I was gonna be in the red.
Yeah.
And then we started having to add sponsor packages, and that's all great and dandy because I have the following and the quality marketing and graphic design and all that stuff, but I'm a terrible salesman. And that in and of itself is a full-time job. So there was one year where we knocked it out of the park, and we were selling like 2K packages for our social media, and it was just awesome. But then there was some years where it's like, dang, I can't even sell a $50 spot, you know? So, and that was actually sucking the joy out of it, but I had to, that's just it. Like creative businesses have to have a way to monetize. If you look at like entertainers, or you look at, South by Southwest, it's all experiential marketing. So so it's like these major brands are like buying and renting out like a food truck and like wrapping that whole food truck for just that weekend or that whole week. So when you bring that concept to Abilene, it was a non-tangible, like our events that produce exposure for businesses was a non-tangible like concept that local businesses had a hard time understanding is actually worth money. It's time and it's exposure. It's marketing. It's non-traditional marketing. So I've never really been good at explaining what it is a people party actually does as a salesperson to like get people like knocking down our door. But it's funny how like so many people just wanted to be a part of it,
Well, it sounds to me, what I'm gathering from it, I mean, and it's evolved so many times, it just sounds like exactly what it is. It sounds like a business for people in need of business.
Yeah, I mean,
it sounds like you've worn many hats. You still do.
I almost wore my hat that says many hats because I do. My students see that. I'm like, yeah.
But that's cool. And I mean, I think that too, like you said, there's seasons, there's growing pains. And so it sounds like you've been through a lot of them. And so I think really what I'm interested in now is, with all that being said and with everything that's changing, so where are you headed?
Yeah. Let's see. Let me segue back to that. I forgot to mention real quickly, one of the biggest points of a people party was realizing that when we hosted an event at, say, the Cloisters, Mezzimes, or a business like Mezzimes or wherever we were, they were slammed. And that's when I realized I had something valuable to offer. But it was still tricky because if I needed a bigger venue, I had to either rent it or, But anyway, so just a side note, that's when I realized that a people party was actually event marketing and promotions through our own curated events. So we weren't being hired to like promote other people's events. I did try to go down that route where it's like, okay, cool, like just give me your stuff. But I was like, no, I'm not into advertisement. I don't want to do advertisement. I love curating events to promote other people. So where am I going now? So I have to say that, and I can't leave this fact out because it's a huge, I think it's a huge part of my journey, but it's turning 40. Oh my gosh.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. This is the year of turn 40. Born in 84. Woo woo.
Yeah, 40's the new 20.
What?
Said 40's the new 20.
Oh, it is. I think so. But because I feel lost all over again, like I feel like I'm straddling a really big time in my life, which I don't know if this sounds cheesy or whatnot, but like it's kind of like middle age. I don't know. But like this next decade, it's the next number is 50, and that's wild to me. I know that's a long way from now, kind of, but like I just finished talking about the previous 10 years, and it's been very rewarding, very, very, very hard to monetize in a city like Abilene. But it's taken a lot out of me, and so the question is like, things are like, where am I, like, what do I want to spend my energy doing in the next 10 years? It's interesting to think that in the next 10 years, like 10 years from now, my youngest will only be 12. So that's interesting to think about. So
that ought to keep you young.
Yeah, no, totally. But
or age you. I've got a young one.
I don't know, man.
It may age you.
I don't know. I know exactly. But my thoughts about the future have so much more to do with like, where are my kids going to be at that time, and like, what's giving me life? What is therapeutic to me? Like, what is not draining me? And while I've loved everything I've had the opportunity to do at this point, vendor management can be draining, you
Yeah.
know, and emails and answering questions, and also never having a guarantee in Abilene if you're going to have the foot traffic. And not only that, I think it's important to say that I really went through a time of like, what's relevant, like what makes people party still different and set apart, because there's now a ton more vendor markets. We were like the only unique vendor market like that at a time, but now I mean there's all kinds of vendor markets in Abilene, and there's some vendor markets that are becoming more known for the one to anticipate, and we used to be the one that everybody anticipated. So I can't keep being that because Abilene's so small and there's only so many vendors to go around.
Yeah.
We were doing really good at bringing out of town talent, which is really what I wanted. I mean, the passion was like unique, handcrafted goods, but I don't think I want that to be my hustle anymore. So I'm not really sure. And I have the storefront, and we are completing our 3-year lease in April of
Congratulations.
2025. Thank you. It's crazy. And I will say, well, I've had to work a full-time job, and I had a baby and a store all in the same 3 years, which is crazy. It's been a bit of a challenge because I haven't really. The dream was to be there, be there, creating, freelancing, curating the space, and but if I'm not generating revenue while I'm there, like enough to pay my livelihood, then I can't afford childcare.
Yeah.
And if I can't afford childcare, then I have to get a job. And so it just turned out this way. And that's kind of a bummer, but it's also a blessing that I've gotten to be in the classroom. It's such a gift to be entrusted with the young, generation. But but we can talk about that before we end the show. Teaching, we'll just put that to the side for right now. But with my lease coming up, I'm having to figure out a lot of what's next. I mean, not only what's next for my brand and my business, but also I have a ton of assets in there. I'm paying property taxes. I've got employees now. I have a venue space that's doing really well. All of the money that's being generated through also my products, which is Esther's Vintage. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
I do my thrifted goods, and I had markets that I could do what I love, and then I couldn't be a vendor at my own markets. So the storefront has been wonderful to allow me to curate my own thrifted goods and generate sales, but all of that hustle just goes to pay the overhead.
Yeah.
So it's a success in that it's generated overhead. It's provided a platform for a ton of micro businesses that can have a shelf space without a hard commitment, and have people buy their product, which makes them happy, without the huge responsibility of that I have on like the lease and all of that stuff. And it's provided opportunities for other bigger businesses to come alongside me and help keep me going, because personally, I feel like God just always provides the right people at the right time to keep my doors open. But I'm rambling now. What am I saying? What am I going to do? So fortunately, like I've said, the right people at the right time. Have you seen recently that Abilene Yarn Co. has come into my space?
Yes.
A new business. Emily has been a vendor with us pretty much the whole time. And I've had the wonderful opportunity of having her launch her storefront inside my storefront.
Okay.
So she's a huge subtenant of mine. And who knew that yarn was in such high demand?
Yeah.
In Abilene. And I mean, she's doing amazing. And I've come alongside her she's been able to utilize my employees and my team and my operations to allow her to not have to worry about that and work focus on her merchandising and all that stuff. And I mean, she's selling like crazy. I mean, she's meeting a need that I don't think she knew was that big for Abilene. And it's super cool because it's a clientele that goes all the way back to the craft fair markets. I mean, it just all still overlaps, handmade goods and stuff. Anyway, we're talking right now, and it seems like it's just going to be a great fit if she gets to expand in that space. And I get to hone in what I love and what I enjoy, which would be more of Esther's Vintage and curating just my own thing.
Yeah, it sounds like with everything that you've been doing over the last, like you said, decade, and even more so recently in the last 3 years,
Yeah.
with
Yep.
obtaining the brick and mortar and really helping establish other micro businesses and people that it would it would be nice, and I may be overstepping my bounds, but to withdraw yourself a little bit and focus
Yeah.
on what makes you happy, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe allow somebody else to take the reins
Oh
for a little
yeah.
bit.
Yeah, and honestly, like if you think of something that like feels like you're putting like you're setting it down, or you're like, I wouldn't say quitting, but like you're laying something down that you would that it's been like who I have been. It's been who I am. What am I trying to say? It's who I've been for so long, and
Yeah.
I've wrestled with it. Like, what is a people party is always known for our events. I still get emails like, when are you guys doing a market? And just because there's still sort of a demand doesn't mean it's still what I need to be doing. But I've had to wrestle with that. And when you feel the emotion of joy and with at the idea of like not having to do it, then that's a good sign that it might be time
Well,
to
and
set it down.
you get to still enjoy it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you've laid the foundation for
Yeah.
someone else to be
Oh,
able
yeah.
to flourish in that. So,
Mm-hmm.
not that you can't have a sense of enjoyment and still be a part of it. I mean, it sounds like you said, you you enjoy the thrifting aspect, and you
Yeah.
weren't able to
Right.
you weren't able to be the vendor you wanted to be because you were too
Right.
busy focused on other people. So,
Yeah.
why? I mean, if the opportunity presents itself and it's something that would allow you to be happy, I mean, it's never, it's what do they say? It's not done for good. It's maybe just a see you
Right.
later, or
Oh,
I'll pick it back
yeah.
up kind of a thing.
That's so
And
good
you
you
and
say
even if
that.
you don't have to,
That's really good, because one of the things that I would encourage small businesses in is knowing that, like, as a micro business, and when I say micro business, it means that it's just you, it's just
Yeah.
one person. Like, it has to exist within seasons, and we have seasons of life and death and pause, and I mean, it just like, and harder seasons and easier seasons, and as a parent too. I mean, then your children start to grow up, and they go through things. I mean, the emotional demand and the needs of like being there for my children is so much greater than like when they were babies, and I got to just like wear them and
Yeah.
take them with me wherever. But yeah, I think I'm just experiencing a lot of new challenges that are requiring so much more of me that I don't have the bandwidth to
Yeah.
keep going. So yeah, I don't think it's quitting for sure. I think a people party. I don't want to force anything, and I don't want to force anything to keep to stay if it's meant to be done. But I think if I can step back from all of the things that I've been doing and then just simplify to the things that give me life. One of them is also interviewing people, and so I can go back to maybe a series online and featuring creatives through my platform online and stuff like that. But I'm excited.
There's a space here.
Oh, that's exactly right. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
But I think it does. I think centering yourself might do you a lot of good.
Yeah.
From what it sounds like. And
Yeah,
I mean, I think you're
100%.
right. I think it comes down to being happy with what you're doing and how you're spending your time. And if you're stretching yourself too thin, then you're doing yourself a disservice as well as maybe other people. So it's nice to know it's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow, especially for as long as you've done it. But maybe that's just what People Party Productions needs is.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, if people are following me on Instagram, they're like, what is she posting about?" It's kind of like, I don't really know what my content's about right now. But with that being said, I don't know if you're close to us wrapping it up. I don't know. I want to be sure to plug in that we will have events here and there, and I'm able to just be way more particular about them. Like, we're not going to do any holiday markets. I really want to focus on my portfolio.
Yeah.
I've never showcased my work online. And we have a seasonal dinner coming up November the 9th. So I don't know if they'll have already watched
And if I
this.
can find a babysitter, I'll be there.
You're going to be there.
Yes.
I'm praying that you find a
my
babysitter.
God.
You guys were at the
me
last
too.
one, right?
The last one was, listen, guys, if you have an opportunity, if you live here in Abilene or you live near the area, it's worth the trip. Me and my wife went last year.
I was so
And we still
happy.
talk about it. I
Oh
mean,
my
like we
gosh.
met some people there too who we didn't like. I don't think we continued to connect with, but it was just really nice. Like we went with no expectation.
Uh-huh.
And I got off work at Dillard's. I just went and we just had a good time. And me and my
Aw.
wife had actually, as funny as it is, took some time off for this upcoming weekend
Uh-huh.
and kind of knew the event was happening. And it was just like, I don't know. Um, yeah, I'm gonna be really upset if we can't make it,
Oh
to
my
be
gosh, I'm
honest.
hoping you guys find a sitter. Yeah, so it's a 5-course meal with Chef Nate Sheesby, and the
He's
heart.
at the DoubleTree,
He
correct?
was,
He was.
he
That's
was. So
he kicked
he
it
is
off.
becoming. Yeah, I don't know how much of a role he played with that menu and that kind of thing,
Okay.
but he is really venturing into his own brand and business, and I'm
Okay.
so excited for him because he has poured into a lot of different operations and different kitchens in Abilene. And so I think he's going to be, I'm not really sure. I think he's working on a business model because I think he's wanting to just be like a chef all on his own.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting. I know he just came up with a logo and stuff like that. So
Hey, that's exciting.
But yeah, there again, I can't get away from creating a platform for people to showcase what they're passionate about and create an experience for people. So it's all about showcasing showcasing the local talent, but who knew it'd be like vendors to like 5-course meal or whatever.
Yeah, I know.
I probably couldn't afford to go to it, but there's a demand for it in Abilene. People want to have that fine dining experience.
And just something different.
Yeah, very different. It's going to be paired with cocktails by the Cabinet
Yeah,
Duran.
by Jerb.
Yes,
Yeah, I
yes,
know.
it's so awesome. So that's happening, and then it's one of those things where I'm like, I'm going to be just really raw and honest. Like I'm really excited about it, but I'm so ready to get on the other side of all of my events for
Yeah.
2024 because I just want to be like,
Yeah, you should be sitting at the table with us, like next to
oh,
us.
I hope
Yeah.
I can. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so I got to make sure everything runs smoothly and that kind of thing. We're still working on live music still because it was a 3-piece jazz band
Last time, right?
last time.
Yeah.
And that was a treat. They were students from ACU, very talented. But that's the thing about Abilene. It's very transitional. So you have,
Yeah.
your college, you have your military, and yeah, I mean, it's never the same scene. It's never the same people.
Yeah, everything's
So,
different.
it's always different. Always changing. The landscape of small business is always changing and evolving, and we've had to kind of just keep up with that. So anyway, so there's that event, and I'll be at Makers and Creators, of course, from now until till spring. We'll see how that goes. I got to see through my private events at the
And again,
patio.
that's near Mezzanines in the same courtyard,
Yeah,
correct?
3909 South 7th. Yeah, right next to Record Guys.
And what are your
So-
hours of operations?
And our hours are always on our Instagram at makers_creators. So
Okay.
you can check it out there. My website is at peoplepartyproductions.com. And you can go back and I need to update that website because of all of the evolution. But on the footer is our store hours, but it's Tuesday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. I like the later hours. And then Saturdays we open an hour earlier at 10.
Okay.
And I'm still trying to get as many bookings as I can. So if you're looking for a private event space, the patio, it is the most beautiful, like hidden gem.
Yeah,
in
it is
Abilene.
awesome.
I mean, it feels like you're just walking into like a jungle tree house, like such a treat. For the longest time I was like, dang, I'm not downtown. But every time I walk in that space,
It's nice though. It's secluded and
so beautiful.
Yeah, it doesn't feel
Yeah.
like you could make it big, but you also don't have to. You can make it intimate.
Very
and-
intimate. It
Yeah.
doesn't feel empty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know it was
so-
really nice when we did the event for the
It's about
last
like 35.
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think last time I think you might have had like maybe 20 at the tables, maybe 35.
really?
It felt like it was smaller, but it's funny because it
Mm.
was even with as many people as there, it just does. It feels intimate. That space is something special.
I love curating. I think at the end of the day, I love curating. You have to figure out how to monetize.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the challenge. But yeah, so we'll have that event, and I haven't even thought about 2025. All I can think about is May because that's when school's over.
Yeah, I'm right there
So-
with you.
So yeah, and then Esther's Vintage Thrift, I have an Instagram for that. So if you go to my overarching Instagram, which is People Party Productions, in my bio I have all my different Instagram handles. So
Okay.
and it's pretty like compartmentalized. So it's like my services, which I just haven't had clients. So it's not like I don't want to do it anymore. I love social media marketing and management, but maybe it's just not the season for it. Maybe I need to hire a salesperson. I don't know if you know. Services, storefront, and venue space, and Esther's Vintage Thrift. And I don't know if you know this, but I have AbiTX Locals on Instagram. I think I showed that to you.
Maybe.
So it doesn't even monetize either, but it was just another platform to showcase locals. And it's all kind of like paused. Just I think primarily teaching is taking the forefront right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, hopefully that's not the case forever.
Yeah, and if I can just touch on that, because I'll like tell my students, hey, you guys go watch this video. So hey, I'll just say real briefly that it has been one of the most challenging jobs, but I had special education, and that was a challenging job, K through 2, kindergarten through 2nd. And now I have high school. And so like that first year was like, the first experience teaching was like 9 kids, same 9 kids the entire time. Now I have 165, 70 students. So I'm having to learn names. And I love it, but I love the opportunity to, I don't know, just like teach them why communication is important and why follow through is important. I just love it. But it's very draining. It's very draining, the grades, and I think just managing all of it. However, I will say being a teacher prepared me to be a business owner. So it all overlaps at the end of the day. So yeah, just got to figure out how to make it today.
Yeah, you got a lot going on.
Yeah, and it's not by choice. A lot of people are like, well, just can you not do some of it? And I'm like, no, it's not how it works.
Yeah, and it's just, it takes on a life of its own.
Yeah,
but it sounds like you're hopefully headed in a direction to allow yourself some space and some time. And, like you said, May is coming. You'll have a little bit of a break.
Yeah. And I'm really excited about whatever's going to come out with Abilene Yarn Co. I mean, it couldn't be the more perfect opportunity to have Emily there with me right now. And I know it's very mutual. She's learning a lot from me, and we're gaining a lot from her being there, a lot of new foot traffic. So it's a blessing, and I'm excited. And if I can hand the baton off to her, which hasn't even been said out loud, it hasn't been announced anywhere in socials, but that's literally been within the week.
Yeah.
I'm super stoked about that. Super excited about that. If I can sublet from her and switch gears and just focus on what I love, that'd be great.
Yeah, be
great.
Take it back to the roots.
Yeah. And then sing at open mics.
Yeah, there you go.
Every once in a while.
Yeah, talk about full circle.
I know. Yeah.
End up right back where you started.
Right.
Which is never a bad thing.
No. I think I'm open to that. So.
Well, I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens in the near future, and if things change and things get to a good spot, then maybe we'll have to sit down again and see where you're at in the near future. And I have to come by and see the space with the Yarn Co. being there now.
You will, yeah. And I mean, I'm not gonna.
If I don't get to make it. I don't even speak into existence. Yeah, if I don't get to make it this weekend. But I'm going to do, we're doing everything. We're doing everything.
She's definitely already there. You can come in anytime. But yeah, I'm hoping you guys can make it for the dinner. But yes, we're going to figure out a way for me to stay plugged in. Because as much as I have going on, I will say it's what gives me life.
Like, I was going to say, you're the heartbeat of that place. So you've got to stay involved.
Yeah. So it'll be good. If she does take it over, it's going to be all her. I'm not going to have, she's going to be full on creative curator. And she's like, are you sure, Jen? Like, are you going to be good with that? And I so am, because I'm going to have my own little nugget of whatever it is that I get. And I'm going to get to just be over Esther's Vintage and maybe work with more selective vendors, which I'm really excited about. We have some vendors we still work with based in Austin, and I think, I'll put this in there and then whatever, and then we probably should wrap it up. I could talk forever, but it would be amazing if Esther's Vintage or my little curated shop could be a mobile on wheels store kind of thing, built out, So I've been thinking about that. I can't stop my brain from problem solving and thinking of what I can do to have an outlet, creative outlet. It's all kind of where it started. Where can I have a creative outlet? And it took a form of itself. So I'm trying to hone back in.
Maybe Vintage on Wheels will be the next the
Maybe
next
so.
episode.
I'm gonna have to depend on Forrest for that, but I was thinking,
He can build
well,
anything, though.
he totally could do a build out on that. But the regular hours of operation are what keeps us going. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm thinking about what that would look like. So, but for now, the marketplace with Yarn Co. is, well, let me just say, we're there till April for sure.
Yeah.
So come shop. If you have any private event bookings, the patio's there through May because we have all the graduations and things.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah, highly
then-
recommend the
Yes.
patio for any event.
Yes.
Especially something like that. I mean, really for anything. If you guys haven't been, you guys just got to go check it out.
Yeah, it's such a dream. So dreamy. So that has an Instagram. Just go to People Party Productions for all of my handles. And thank you so much just for the opportunity to ramble, because I'm sure people were like, what the heck is Jen? It's a people party. The sad thing is people that come, they've never even heard of me. And it's, when I say me, I mean a people party.
Yeah.
And so it's just, there's a lot of it's just a lot of getting used to when there's a ever changing, like I said, landscape. And it's like, what am I even doing? I'll have to tell my students, I promise you I had big events. Like it happened. So. Yeah.
Well, I'm really glad you got to come and sit down and give me a little bit of insight and give the people some insight as well.
Yeah.
So I wish you the best. And
thank you.
Yeah, I hope nothing but big things, and hopefully with you, focusing on yourself, that you'll find a different kind of growth.
Yeah,
So.
I'm excited. I am.
I'm excited for you too.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for coming by. You guys make sure to check out us on HE Studios and go check out Jen. Go to her store, come to some of the events. At least go to the Instagram. I mean, come on, guys. Go give her a follow.
Yeah, I've got like 5 accounts, so you can follow one of them.
Yeah, right. I mean, it takes a click. So, but yeah, it was nice spending some time with you.
Thank you for having me.